On this edition of Native Report, we watch as glass artist Jes Durfee transforms simple glass rods into incredible works of art.
We attend a community-wide celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day.
And we interview Dr. Bob Powless, who helped found one of the first university Indian Studies programs in the United States.
We also learn about what we can do to lead healthier lives and hear from our elders on this Native Report.
Production of Native Report is made possible by grants from the Shakopee-Mdewakanton Sioux community, the Blandin Foundation, and the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation.
Welcome to Native Report. I'm Rita Aspinwall.
And I'm Ernie Stevens. Glass artist Jes Durfee began working with glass in the year 2000, and over the years he's traveled internationally to learn from masters of the art. From the smallest of the animal kingdom to the largest of galaxies and everything in between, nature is his inspiration.
I like to make all kinds of things. I like to make things from the natural world, and I like just outer space stuff and just things that are like within our reality.
Creating incredible works of art and functional items from glass is a passion for Jes Durfee. He has traveled the world off and on for well over a decade to learn more about a craft that stretches back millennia.
I started working with glass in the year 2000, right in the summertime. So it's been about 15 years now, little more than 15 years. It's gone by so fast, it's amazing. First time glass blowing was done through archaeological findings was right from the Middle East. I love traveling, wandering the world, and I learned a lot in Murano. It's an island near Venice in Italy. And I also learned a lot in New York, right here in the Corning Museum. I've got to study there many, many times. I'd go there during the winter when it gets really cold here. I'll go there and I'll learn from all the people that they bring in to teach us. When I was in college, I was going down a different career path, and I had no idea I'd be an artist. But I sure am happy I am, and without going to college, I wouldn't have realized that. Right now, glass art is really expanding and ever increasing in technique and in resources like colors, and there's things that have never been possible. And now that there's more technology available and more people learning, there's so many new techniques, and it's a really fun time to be part of this art. And I learned so much from many people, and I like to learn things and then kind of turn things into my own and have my own spin on them too.
The glass comes in a variety of colors in differently sized tubes, and if Jes wants to add color while he is working, he'll use crushed glass granules that already have the color in them.
I am gonna try a bird shape. Yeah, you can kind of see how it's really glowing orange. And then I'm gonna roll it in this frit as soon as I get it up to temperature and where it's all equally as hot. And it'll just pick up all of that, those colors, those granules. The exciting part is blowing it out. So I'm gonna attach this on there, and you'll kind of see how I get my basic bird shape going. I kind of go like this. So you can kind of see how it's a bird shape. And then right here I kind of make the head. So anyway, you can see it'll take some futzing around, but I get this from this. I'm Native and I'm Middle Eastern and Finnish. And so I'm very proud of each of my cultures, and I've visited Finland, and so I just believe that everything that's made me what I am comes out in my art. And being raised by my father, I've really learned that he learned from his father that as a Native person, we have the responsibility to respect and to honor and to be the voice of the natural world. So nature is a really big part of the things that I make. One of the things is my Millefury, where I'm taking the colors and making a gather out of the colors, and then I'll make a shape and pull the shape really long, maybe like this, and then I'll cut them up and stack them all together, and I'll make like a butterfly, half of a butterfly, and then I'll take the half of the butterfly and put it together and make a full butterfly. And it's a way to make super detailed images. Out of that, I can make many, many pieces. I can take a nipper and just nip it, and then I'll have many replicated images.
Jes has showcased his work across the United States and has many pieces in local galleries. And for restaurant patrons of local eateries, they are most likely unaware of the original artwork in their midst.
I make some beer and root beer tap handles for restaurants, and there's 5 restaurants in Duluth that have them. I'm really proud. I made the root beer ones extra special. It's not everyone can drink alcohol, so I wanted to make sure those ones are really, really pretty. It's a certain scientific process that needs to happen to make each technique succeed. So first I realize how to make each thing and practice making it, and then I'll actually visualize what I want to see, and I'll write it down on my blackboard, and then I'll have my list, and I'll just kind of work on those items on there. And sometimes they don't turn out exactly how I want, and then I can figure out how to change it and redo it. So glass is really cool that way because it's so forgiving, and there's so many possibilities to redo it. All the different colors, they have different reactions to the flame. I use oxygen and propane for the fire. And so if you have more oxygen or more propane, you could get a different result in the color of the glass, which can be good and bad. And to learn how to control it and to know what will happen with each time, that's very important. I just hope to keep learning more and more, and keep having fun doing what I love to do.
I'm Dr. Arnie Vainio, and today we'll be talking about kidney disease. We each have 2 kidneys, one on each side. These are deep in your abdomen and are about the size of your fist, and they get rid of waste products and purify our blood. The kidneys get more blood supply than the brain or the heart or the liver, and almost 1/4 of the blood pumped by the heart goes to the kidneys. Every day the kidneys see about 400 gallons of blood and filter about 200 quarts of fluid. They return 198 quarts back to the bloodstream, and the remaining 2 quarts are the waste product, or urine. Your kidneys are in charge of your blood pressure, and they also tell your bone marrow when to make more red blood cells. The individual microscopic filters that do all the work in your kidneys are called nephrons, and you have between 1 million and 2 million nephrons in each kidney. If the nephrons in both kidneys were placed end to end, they would be about 10 miles long. Refined sugars and carbohydrates cause the pancreas to release more insulin, and that forces the kidneys to process more calcium, and that can lead to kidney stones. The kidneys are central to vitamin D metabolism, and this helps build strong bones by regulating calcium deposition. For the same reasons, excess milk or antacids can contribute to kidney stones. The 2 leading causes of kidney damage, or renal failure, are high blood pressure and diabetes. These problems are becoming more common, and the rate of chronic renal failure is rising. Once kidney damage happens, the rate of damage can be slowed down, but it cannot be reversed. End-stage renal disease is the total failure of the kidneys to filter blood, and the treatment for this is dialysis. The other treatment is kidney transplant, and in the United States in 2005, there are over 60,000 people on a waiting list for a kidney transplant. Sometimes when people get sick, they can get acute renal failure, and this is usually short-term and is caused by low blood flow to the kidneys or by urine backing up or direct damage to the kidneys themselves. Chronic kidney disease is when the kidneys are not functioning properly for at least 3 months. Seeing a nephrologist or kidney specialist is usually indicated for chronic renal failure. There are medicines called ACE inhibitors that are very good at slowing the rate of progression of kidney damage once it starts to occur, and these medicines also control blood pressure as another mechanism to prevent kidney damage. As it is with most chronic problems, non-traditional tobacco abuse is a contributing factor and one you can change. There are very good medicines and smoking cessation classes to help you kick the habit. Please email me with any questions or topics you would like discussed. My email address is at the bottom of the screen. Remember to call an elder. They've been waiting for your call. I'm Dr. Arnie Vainio, and this is Health Matters.
The city of Grand Rapids, Minnesota and surrounding communities recognize the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples Day. The city joins a growing number of cities across the United States that celebrates Native culture and history.
The rain and cold didn't dampen the spirits of hundreds of elementary students, their teachers, and Grand Rapids community members who came together to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. This day has been in the planning for quite some time.
One of our members on the Human Rights Commission about a year ago brought up this idea of Columbus Day being celebrated, and we talked about it. We did the research, and our members put together a proclamation, and the resolution came to the City Council, and I was a member of the City Council and brought it to our council, and we talked about it for a couple of meetings, and then in December we passed the resolution. So this is our first celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day here in Grand Rapids.
We wanted it to be for the children, and we targeted 4th grade. We felt that 4th graders would be open to learning about a different culture, and this would be a first-hand experience instead of reading in a book. And we also felt that 4th graders would remember this day because we made history today. Our community made history today, and they were there for it. And that was very exciting.
Indigenous Peoples Day is an opportunity to celebrate the thriving culture and value the Ojibwe, the Dakota, and other Indigenous nations add to the city of Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids has always kind of prided itself as being open and welcoming. And to hear others come in and say, you know, when it comes to Native Americans, when it comes to African Americans, what we're hearing is, you know, you're not as open and welcoming as you'd like to think you are. Our Human Rights Commissions, along with support from Blandin Foundation, Dr. Kathy Annette, we've managed to work with different councils and groups from the various tribes and say, you know, let's put on and let's do something that starts to bring people's awareness of the diversity and the potential diversity changes that we're going to be going through here.
When the city actually passed this resolution, we knew something great was going to happen. And the celebration has been in the works for quite some time. There are a number of community members, both Native and non-Native, that meet on a regular basis. There's an acknowledgement now that Indigenous people have been here a long, long time. Clearly in the celebration that there is today, what's being celebrated is our song, our dance, our language, and people are being embraced to say, see who we are. We've been here and we're still here, and it's quite an honor that it's not Columbus Day today in Grand Rapids, it's Indigenous Peoples Day.
The 3-hour program featured a mini powwow and also exposed students to the history, culture, and language of the Ojibwe Nation.
It was a stepping stone to to get our identity as Anishinaabe, you want to use the term Indigenous, to build that bridge. I think we took a course in history today. Are we going to see results, outcomes of this? No, like anything else, it's as I use the term stepping stone, I think it's a gradual bridge that we're establishing that we're going to see. Maybe in 10 years, maybe in 20 years, we'll see more authentic, more Indigenous things here in the city of Grand Rapids. And I think today was a start of a new beginning.
You have German language, you have Finnish language, you have Scandinavian language. All those are important to those families, those ethnic groups. Well, so is ours, you know, and finally being recognized. And we're recognized as a people, finally, in this community. And change is good for the positive, you know. And our children, our grandchildren that attend these schools here in Grand Rapids will know what it is, will understand.
Today we had the 4th grade out from the area schools. What a great opportunity for them to see what the Native American culture is like in the area, because this was probably, I would venture, the first time that some of these kids had ever seen a powwow, some of the dancing and stuff that goes on and why it's celebrated. So
this has been a phenomenal event. There's been many that have been involved in terms of getting to today. And what I look forward to is next year, because this is going to get better and better, and our story is going to get better and better.
Well, you know, I think, you know, a lot of times Indian people have been, you know, throughout the generations, you know, they were invisible and, you know, in the society at that time, you know, and it's been, you know, over 100 years, you know, 100 and some, maybe 150 years or so, that sometimes, you know, it's, I think that would, and, you know, we were the original landowners of this territory. And I think that people kind of thought it would, you know, we'd go away. Eventually, you know, evaporate into mainstream society. But lo and behold, you know, American Indian people are still here today, and they're vibrant. And, you know, if we can, you know, better educate the public, you know, about us, once you begin to know and understand someone, it's a lot harder to, you know, you're more apt to like them.
Dr. Robert Powless was instrumental in establishing one of the very first Indian Studies programs in the country at the university level. He also created one of the very first, and at that time, only Native American public affairs television programs. Even though he retired from higher education, he still remains an active advocate for many Native American programs and causes.
He was always looking for something.
It is a quiet winter morning in the home of Dr. Robert and Linda Powless as they enjoy the ambient warmth of their sunroom. Surrounded by photos of their family, Dr. Powless talks openly about his life.
I was born on the Oneida Reservation, which is just outside of Green Bay. When we moved off the reservation into Green Bay, my mother said, Robert, if you go over to the grocery store over there, Mr. Farah will talk to you, and he runs a A&W in the summer. And I'll bet you he'll give you a job. No, I don't know if she set this all up or not, but probably. So I walked over there, 5 years old, remember, and I said to the Mr. Farah, well, do you have any jobs? And he said, oh yes. He said, you come over here every day at 4 o'clock and pick up all the papers off that blew off the trays, and I'll pay you a nickel and a root beer. So that was my first job. And I've had a job ever since.
When he turned 21 and just out of college, he was drafted into the Army, where he became a medic and did a tour in Korea.
The Army was good for me because it made me understand the problems that the world had, that we had in the United States, that Indians had, you know, and so it was real good for me. I can't say I enjoyed the Army, but it was very, very helpful to me in learning various things.
So you got out of the Army. Did you get right into education, or what?
Yeah, I went back to get going on my doctorate, and while I was working on the Minneapolis campus, I'm working away, and 3 guys come in, Indian guys, and they said, we just came out of the Army, we just started school at University of Minnesota, Duluth. I thought, where's Duluth? and they said, we have an Indian Studies program there, but we don't really like the way it's going. And we heard that you might be available to, because you don't have a regular job, to come up and beef it up. So I took the basic American Indian Studies course, and I beefed that up, and I taught that.
How was, Indian Studies accepted by the other folks in academia?
They were a little unsure of it. But as time went on, and I showed them that there were some rather powerful, basic things you needed to know about Indians and about Indian culture and about teaching about Indians, the thing really picked up. I was quite amazed. American Indian Studies, to me, is trying to present to people, particularly non-Indians, the full range of life, work, play, religion, that American Indians go through.
It was one of the first true Indian Studies programs at the college level in the country.
The Indian Viewpoint.
He also co-produced one of the first Native American television programs, Indian Viewpoint, that aired from the early 70s to the mid-80s.
Ray Burdock was the guy who started it. And one day, I got this phone call, would you be interested in helping me out on this show? And I said, well, whatever I can do. So he and I then ran Indian Viewpoint. And Ray was very good at getting some of the big name Indians in the country to come on Viewpoint. And I remember this one old Indian guy, I bumped into him in a restaurant, and he said, he said, I set my alarm clock every Sunday for so that I can get up and watch Indian Viewpoint. And I make sure I call everybody up and get them to watch it. So we had a good time with that.
And then Sunday morning.
Retired now, Dr. Powless is still active in the Duluth area as an advocate for Native causes. He is a strong supporter of the Gamaji Building, a permanent supportive housing facility in Duluth's Urban Indian Center.
It's just amazing what Gamaji has meant in this community to both Indians and non-Indians. Well, Duluth, and I'm sure Linda, my wife, would support me on this, has become our real home and become an, in quotation marks, reservation for me. I've been so lucky actually throughout my life. And I was really lucky to run across this woman I hope we can go on from there and do some more interesting stuff.
For more information about Native Report or the stories we've covered, look for us on the web at nativereport.org, on Facebook, and on Twitter.
Thank you for spending this time with your friends and neighbors across Indian Country. I'm Ernie Stevens.
And I'm Rita Aspinwall. Join us next week for another Native Report.
Rita Aspinwall is an enrolled member of the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and is an ICWA social worker with Fond du Lac Social Services. Ernie Stevens is a member of the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin and is a film and television producer. Production of Native Report is made possible by grants from the Shakopee-Mdewakanton Sioux community, the Blandin Foundation, and the Duluth Superior Area Community Foundation. Partial funding for this episode of Native Report is provided by the citizens of Minnesota through the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.